Okay. All right, guys. Just one thing before Coach starts. We had a stat correction in Saturday's game. Ball State was credited with the duplicate run. We fixed it, so therefore they have 14 less yards. Our stats are up on our website. So just an FYI for you. Coach is going to start with an open statement, and then we'll take questions. Please use the microphone from Chad, and we'll get it to you. Go ahead, Coach.
All righty, guys. What a fun night in Paulson. Got to thank our fans, our alumni, and the students for just creating an absolute electric atmosphere, especially in the fourth quarter when things were at the hottest and most competitive in the game. Really proud of our football team for not only how they competed, but how they handled situational mastery, especially in the fourth quarter. There was some situations there, whether it was Anthony Beck punting us inside the 10-yard line, getting a 3 and out by our defense, setting up great field position for our offense, making a huge 3rd and 8 on the next drive. J.J. McAfee doing a great job of extending that ball to the pylon and having a touchdown, being able to do a great 4-minute drive to end the game offensively, obviously with a big touchdown at the end. I just was really proud of our kids in a very competitive situation, a situation where you really had to master the down and distances, the time on the clock. I thought they really played like a mature football team down the stretch. So really good to see. 4 games into the season now, we've learned a lot of valuable lessons, and now we take those lessons to conference play against a really good Coastal Carolina team that's probably playing as good a football as anybody in our league right now. So with that, I'll take any questions that you have.
Coach, you just mentioned that, they're playing really good football. They're undefeated right now, 4-0. What do you know so much about them right now going into that conference play game?
Yeah, well, it all starts with their quarterback. I think when you look at great football teams, it starts with the quarterback play, and obviously Grayson is one of the best quarterbacks not only in our conference but in the country right now, playing at a very, very high level, does not make mistakes, has the ability not only to show elite arm strength but also has the ability to run. Obviously came out in the fourth quarter last week, in the Georgia State game. Looked like he could possibly come back in if he was needed, but we'll see how he is in the run game and see his health. But you're talking about one of the better quarterbacks there are playing right now and one of the more efficient quarterbacks in the country.
Coach, got to ask, I know it's early in the week, but we're expecting a lot of wind, a lot of rain this week, kind of really all up and down the southeastern coast. Does it change kind of practice plans at all, and how do you prepare for one of those games where it could be kind of you facing Coastal and Mother Nature at the same time?
Yeah, definitely. Obviously we've got some nice opportunities on Tuesday and Wednesday to get in the majority of our workouts, to be able to go over to Eagle Creek on Tuesday and get the majority of our game plan in. But you're always thinking about that, and one of the good things that I think that we've shown, especially over these first 4 games, is the ability to balance our offense and the ability to lean on the run game when needed. We knew that would be important, whether it was the style of play a defense was running, a la drop 8, or whether it's Mother Nature that makes it a little bit harder, and you got to lean on that run game. I thought in this past game was a great example of Coach Ellis doing a really nice job of leaning on that run game and creating that balance of, not only throwing it 40 times, but handing it off 40 times. And so you got to be able to have that balance, and especially when Mother Nature. So we have that ability within the system.
Coach, Ball State was a pretty good team. You're taking a big step up from here on out. That might be the worst team, not worst, but at least of the teams you play the rest of the way out. How familiar are you with all the teams in the Sun Belt? How much have you, been paying attention to the scores and what they've done outside of the conference and in the conference as well?
Well, I'm a ball junkie, so I like seeing what other folks are doing and being able to engage our league. And you look at our league across the board, and we knew, I truly believe this is a premier group of 5 league there is in the country right now, with the standard of play that's going across all the football teams that we have. So we knew coming in, 9 of the 12 teams were bold teams. We knew that the month of September was going to be important for us to start fast, and we have for the most part. And we learned a bunch of valuable lessons that I hope that we take into conference play. We start right from the get-go in conference play with probably the team that's playing the hottest right now in Coastal and playing really good, solid football on all 3 phases. So it's going to be a great challenge for us to go on the road again and play one of the better teams in our conference. And it's going to be about, once again, our execution against a really quality football team.
Coach, nobody obviously knows Grayson's status for Saturday, but when it comes to your defensive scheme, are you having to prepare two schemes for maybe two different quarterbacks? Is it just kind of one size fits all and it's more about execution? How does that work?
Yeah, we saw that last year. Grayson didn't play against us last year, and it just happened to be my first ball game in Paulson to be able to watch. And, one of the things that you look up is all three of their quarterbacks that have played this year, they're all of a similar mode. They've got elite arm talent first, so you have to defend against the pass, but they also have the ability to run the ball, whether it's the option game that they run, whether it's zone read that they run, or whether it's quarterback-driven runs. Coach does a tremendous job, has a huge Bible offensively that he selects based on your tendencies and what you're doing. And those quarterbacks that he signed really fit, the system. So we don't have to change, based on which quarterback is, because they're all very similar style of quarterback.
And Coach, Coastal Carolina is tied for the lead in the country with 14 turnovers created with Southern Cal. That's probably not a sustainable pace, but that's very impressive. And they're tied for fifth with +7. What are they doing? Coach Chattel just said on the conference call that they could barely scratch up some turnovers last year. What are they doing this year, and how aware are you telling your guys to be?
Yeah, obviously that was one of the keys to our success in the last game was not turning the ball over. We thought it was critical in a very close game. We turned the ball over once in that game, it may be a different outcome. And now you come into a Coastal Carolina team that does an exceptional job of getting the ball out. You watch for Georgia State. I thought their back-end players did a really nice job of targeting the ball. And you get with your coach. You could tell that they've made that a point of emphasis this year amongst their team, and they're doing a really nice job of targeting the ball. We've been very fortunate, knock on wood, to be able to hold on to the ball. I don't think we have a fumble this year, and so we continue to practice what we preach, and that's our ball security is every Tuesday, every Wednesday, every Thursday, and it's a staple for us. Obviously, we're playing as good a team as there is in the country, as you said, and getting the ball out, and so we've got to do our best job of focusing and relying on our fundamentals and technique.
Coach, in the first half primarily, but a little in the second half, Kyle looked like he was having some discomfort with his shoulder or something. It didn't seem to hurt some of those throws, but it seemed like there was a lot of that going on. How is he right now?
Yeah, we held him yesterday. He had a little bit of he's had a shoulder separation before at Buffalo, and came down awkwardly in that first quarter, and you could tell, and communicated with him. He felt confident enough to continue in the game, and throwing wise, he was still accurate and making good decisions and really being effective. So obviously it was kind of like JJ. All of a sudden you get a bum ankle, but you fight your way through it. I thought Kyle did a great job of fighting his way through. A little bit of a sore shoulder. We took some time off yesterday. Obviously today's an off day. We'll see where we are tomorrow. But knowing him and knowing his competitiveness, I feel like we'll be in good position.
You mentioned about the challenges that Coastal presents from an offensive standpoint. What about on defense, and how are you feeling about your offense going against their defense?
Yeah, Josh, they've gone really multiple compared to what I've seen last year compared to this year. They're bouncing in and out of 4-down fronts to odd fronts, which I really think fits their personnel, and they're doing a nice job of bringing zone pressures, whether it's boundary zone pressure, field pressure, interior pressure with the two linebackers. And one of the reasons I think they're causing a little bit of havoc, I think they're fooling quarterbacks with those zone fire pressures. It's created some interceptions, and obviously it's created some opportunities to target the ball effectively. Kind of don't know where it's coming each and every game. So credit to them and their staff. They put a really good system together that fits their personnel. And I think offensively, you have to be, again, you're going to have to be patient. Sometimes it's drop 8. Sometimes, that here comes zone pressure from the boundary, zone pressure from the field. You got to be able to diagnose, make quick decisions, get the ball out, and be effective in making your plays and keeping the chains moving. I know this, they have been really, really good about getting teams on the back end of the chains, creating some thirds and longs, and that's where they thrive. They got tremendous pass rushers on both edges, and so we're going to have to do a great job. I really feel the success for us, to have success in this game is really going to be married up on what we do first and second down. If we get in third and long, it can be a long night.
Coach, you talked about closing out Ball State and kind of you called it mastery of the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
How much of that is a team attribute, a skill? How much does it take to kind of create the ability to do that? Because this program has struggled with that in recent years.
Yeah, I think you have to practice situational football, and that's what we've done in both training camps as well as we do each and every week. We put our kids in the exact situations that we feel that are needed to win close, tight ball games, which, when you play in this conference and how elite the teams are, they're going to be close games, and it's going to come back down to your standard of play and your execution in the fourth quarter. Just an absolute great example is, we work sky punt so much and how much of a weapon that can be, and all of a sudden you down that ball on the 9-yard line, defense gets a 3 and out, now you're sitting with the ball inside the 50-yard line. That situational mastery for your offense leads to a touchdown, leads to the opportunity to go ahead and take the lead. So, every situation matters, and if you don't put your kids in that situation, then, shame on you as a coach. So not only is it just running plays, running schemes, running systems, more importantly, it's kids understanding what to do, especially in those critical moments.
Coach, I'd like to get a health update on the team, maybe an update on Todd Bradley Glenn and Rashid Miller and anybody else since last game as far as their availability for Saturday.
Yeah, I think Todd's got at least another week. That he is gaining strength in that elbow, and we will see him again. This season. Rashid Miller has got that pin in his finger that is going to be taken out this week. I still think he's a week or two away once that pin is removed from that. We'll see where J.J. McAfee is. He fought through that game. We held him yesterday. Just due to that sore ankle. Obviously, Kyle with a little bit of a banged up shoulder. We'll see where that goes. But I don't see any more long-term injuries coming out. We were fortunate last game to really after two significant blows to our football team last week, we got dealt a pretty good hand.
With Kadri Jackson here, I want to ask about the depth at linebacker. You mentioned Todd not being available, most likely, and a couple of the players that played a lot last season transferred away. What's the depth at linebacker, and how did you like the way they came through on Saturday? Yeah,
I was really proud of we talked about it even in the pregame meal, how important it was going to be for that next man up mentality. And with Kadri and Mar, I thought they did an exceptional job. That's big shoes to fill. Now, when you're talking about a guy like Todd that has that much experience, not only in his play, but just getting guys lined up and making the calls. I mean, that's being the quarterback of the defense, and I thought Kadri and Mar did an exceptional job. We had a lot of respect for Steele and the job that he could do in the run game, and really felt that if we could come outrush our opponent in that game and win the turnover battle, we were going to win the game. And that credit those linebackers, because I thought they did an exceptional job of getting the ball down. We knew they would get theirs because they handed off enough times to them that anytime you hand off 25 times, it's going to be close to 100 yards. But we really felt if we could limit the explosiveness of his runs, which he had showed in the first 3 games, we would have the opportunity to come down the stretch and win the game.
Coach, it seemed like you took a step forward in the tackling aspect. It seemed like you tackled a lot better. You mentioned about Coastal and how much pressure they've been able to get on quarterbacks. How do you feel about your defense, where they are as far as applying pressure?
Yeah, I did think we took a step forward last week, especially getting the ball down in the run game. That's going to be imperative this week. I mean, they've got 2 running backs that are absolutely exceptional and hard to get on the ground, low center of gravity, hard for one person to get them down. I think just like last week, we really overpreached the relentless effort to the ball and getting all 11 members there, to be able to get these really talented running backs down. And I really liked our effort. There was a lot of gang tackling where one guy was holding on for dear life, but here comes 3 or 4 more other kids. And that's what you got to have versus good players. So I thought we did take a step forward, Josh, in that area. Need to continue to grow, but obviously a lot better than we did in the week prior. Yeah, the biggest thing that I saw, was the ability to get to third downs and keep them in some third and longs, which I think it ended up we had 56% third down efficiency to their 40, which we'd like a little bit lower number, but I thought we'd played our best ball on third downs with our pass defense, especially when I think about the 3 and out right there at the end of the game. We get that third down done, and then what a great play by Dylan Springer on the next drive when they hit the tight end in the flat. I mean, it's him or nobody. That's his responsibility, is to get that big joker down, and he did, and set up a 4th and 4 where they have to punt to us with 6 minutes left, and then we run the clock. We end up scoring on that drive. I thought where we took a big stride ahead was with our third down passing game. All righty, guys. Thank y'all so much.
All right, we'll bring in quarterback Calvin and Treese. Go ahead and grab the mic, and we'll go ahead and get rolling.
Especially in the first half, but some in the second, and Coach mentioned holding you out a little bit yesterday. How's your shoulder doing? He mentioned that you've had a separated shoulder before. How is it feeling right now? How do you feel about Saturday?
Yeah, I mean, happened early in the game yesterday or Saturday, and I had felt the feeling before last year at the end of the season, but it wasn't nearly the same as severe. So I just wanted to. I didn't want to leave the field. I wanted to keep playing. So I just pushed myself, and I knew it was going to be uncomfortable to throw, but had to push through to because I wanted to be there for my teammates. Yeah, I mean it's still stiff. It's still pretty sore, but just keeping the mobility and the strength is what I'm focused on, and getting out there and getting prepared for Coastal.
How much are you and Connor work together as far as, if something were to happen, he's going to be up there. How much do you guys communicate and together like that?
Well, yeah, it's really all of us quarterbacks. We try and talk to each other about when we're going up and watching film. We're always trying to have a constant communication with Coach Ellis and the other position groups to, stay communicated, stay on the same page. And I'm trying to teach them as much as I can. I've got a couple more years on them. Just being there for them if they do get that opportunity is something that I have to be ready for, which everybody has to be ready for. But those guys, they work hard. They're ready for an opportunity if it comes.
Kyle, against UAB, you didn't have the game you wanted, bounced back pretty well this week, and I'm sure that's going to carry over to a lot of guys in a lot of position groups at some point this year. What advice would you have for them about their preparation process, both mental and physical, after a week where they didn't quite have the game that they wanted? Because I know it's a little bit different than coming off a win or coming off a good performance.
Yeah, it's just focusing on the little things, because the little things are never actually very little. Trying to focus on the 1% better every day, whether it's technique, whether it's situational awareness, or it's effort. Focusing on a different thing every day and getting that 1% better, regardless win or lose, is how you continue to improve.
First conference game this Saturday. Is there something that you're going to be looking for in the team for them to raise their level? Is there something in your experience that you'd like to see from a team the week of the first conference game?
I want to see all-out effort every game, and I know the conference games have a little bit more meaning to them, so I'm expecting that to raise a little bit. But we go out there to win every game, no matter who's across from us. So whether it's conference or non-conference, it's the goal is still to win.
Is there anything about Coastal Carolina you're hearing early? They've managed in the last couple of years to kind of get under opponents' skin, or try to anyway, with kind of their attitude, kind of a chip on their shoulder. Is there anything you're hearing new to the conference personally about Coastal Carolina?
Well, I played them last year at Buffalo, so I know a little bit about them, and I know what they're about. Hardworking team, great effort team, and they're confident in themselves, which is you have to be. But we're really looking forward to the opportunity to go out there and play against them.
The revenge tour continues.
It does.
Okay. The conference is full of great quarterbacks, experienced quarterbacks especially. What do you think of your assessment of the quarterbacks, and with Grayson McCall being the reigning player of the year? What kind of quarterbacks are in this conference?
I mean, it's a bunch of guys that have played a lot of football that have proven to be successful, and it's awesome to go out there and compete with those guys. But I'm not really worried about what they're doing, or I'm not focused on their stats or anything like that. I'm focused on the Georgia Southern Eagles, and that's it. And that's all I care about.
You're probably going to have some bad weather to deal with on Saturday. First of all, how does that change the way you play the game in terms of grip, routes you want your receivers to run, et cetera? And how do you prepare for something like that when weather's like this here right now?
Yeah, well, for preparation, you just try and throw the wet ball. You squirt water on it between snaps. You work with the center, with the receivers, the running backs, to just get used to the ball being wet and the environment being a little wet. But the weather, that's something that we can't control, and you got to focus on and control what you can control. So whether it's raining or not, we're going out there with the same mentality. We're going to be who we are. So,
Kyle, walk me through what it's like kind of when you take the field there, 6-7 minutes left, a chance to go up 2 scores against Ball State. Your defense just gets a stop. When you go into one of those drives where you really have a chance to kind of finish a game, walk me through kind of, does the attention level go up? How do you go into the huddle with one of those drives coming up?
well, yeah, I wouldn't say the attention level goes up. I would just say the urgency goes up, is because the time's running out, and you know that it's now or never. Or in our case, the defense played great, and we got the ball back again, and we're able to close the deal. But the mindset doesn't change. You still want to go down. You want 7. You don't want 3. But the urgency all across the board, whether it's offense, defense, special teams, no matter the position, has to go up a little bit.
And as the quarterback, you have to kind of be the leader in that. How do you do that?
Yeah, a lot of people, everyone does it differently. Some guys are, high vocal guys. Some guys are, by example guys. And, there's a good mixture. There's a good gray area that I try to be in. Because if you're too vocal and that's not who you are, then people see through that. But if you don't say anything and you're a leader on the team, then they're not going to respect you as much. So finding that gray area and that happy medium is where I try to be, and try and just instill confidence in the guys around me and tell them that I'm putting my all out there for you guys. I hope that you guys can do the same for me.
And Kyle, first game back yesterday against Ball State at home. Just speak about Paulson Stadium and the fans there for that homecoming game. How electric was it?
Yeah, it was awesome. I mean, I've been in college for quite some time now, and a home game, I've never had that experience. It's just completely different atmosphere down here. And Saturday night was awesome. The student section was great. The fans were great. It was a great atmosphere, great energy. They stayed the entire time, and really, that we love that as players and coaches and as a program. It gives us a lot of confidence, and it gives us an advantage out on the field.
So you think you guys feed into that?
100%, absolutely. So.
All right, Kyle, thank you.
All right, thank you guys.
All right, bring up linebacker Codger Jackson. Same thing, you just get the mic.
Just assess the defensive performance from the Ball State game, how you feel like you guys have progressed. What do you feel like you did better this past game than maybe you did against UAB?
I feel like overall at the defense, I feel like we tackled well. That was one thing that we talked about during the week, was being able to tackle very well. We know that Ball State had a couple good running backs with 33 and number 27. And we knew that 33 was a very athletic player, so we know that getting him on the ground was a must. So I feel like overall the defense, we tackled very well.
Should be a step up in competition this week. Coastal's one of the best teams in the Sun Belt Conference. They have a really strong running game, as I'm sure you're aware. What do you feel like the keys are against them, and what do you see when you look at Coastal?
Looking at Coastal, they have a great running game with number 4 and number 2, and they're also led by a great quarterback, number 10, and he's been there for a good amount of time now. So they have a good plan they set, and they have a good culture as well. So we're just going to go in there and keep the main thing. We want to focus on tackling and getting the ball carriers down and playing good team defense.
Yeah, Coastal has some option concepts in their offense. Do you feel like you maybe have a little bit of an advantage, seeing as how you defended the option in practice for a couple years there, as opposed to maybe some other teams who don't see it a lot?
Yes, you could say that. One thing about playing the option is everybody has to be very gaps out and also just be focused on their job. With the option, you could defend the option 100 plays correctly, then that one time you don't. if somebody misses a gap, misses their fit, then it's a touchdown. So the main thing about playing option is just being very gap sounding, technique sounding, focusing on your job. So that's the main thing.
What did you think about the linebacking core as a whole Saturday night without Todd being there? Who stepped up, in your opinion, and how do you feel like that's going to help going forward?
I feel like the linebacking core played good. Main thing we focused on was tackling and being great tacklers. So I feel like throughout the game, everybody tackled well. Todd, he's our linebacker, and not even just linebacker, just the whole defense and the whole team. He's a captain, so everybody feeds off his energy. Even though he wasn't playing, he was on the sideline, still being engaged, still talking to us about what we saw on the field. So he's an emotional leader and a great leader, probably one of the best teammates I've ever had. So having him on the sideline, just still being engaged is a great thing to have. So I think overall, as linebackers, we played pretty good. We could always play better, though.
You've been around the college game, for a few years at North Carolina and here. Do you kind of tell the younger guys, hey, this is a long season? What kind of mindset do you want them to be in? Because every week seems to be a battle, and you look across the landscape of college football, and your old school is winning crazy games or losing crazy games. I mean, how do you explain what they're in for?
I kind of just tell them we got to go day by day. You can't really look too far ahead because then you'll miss the thing that's right in front of you. So we kind of just play it like a day by day thing. We never get too high, never get too low. Kind of try and stay even. We even with practice, we try and practice with the same intensity every day and try and keep that same mindset. You can't look too far ahead and can't harp on any negative things that may have happened. So we just try and stay even keel throughout the whole season, and that's how I look at it.
How do you feel about the way the defense is pressure against the quarterback? How much is that going to need to be picked up a little bit this week with playing against somebody like McCall?
Pressure is always a premium. That's one of the main things in football. Getting people to third down and being able to pressure is like one of the main things that allows you to be a successful defense. So being able to get pressure will definitely be a very important thing we do, especially against a great player like Tim.
Have any other questions?
Who filled Todd's role as calling signals?
Well, I was at Mike, so I called signals. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Colin.
Yes, sir. You have a good one.
You guys